Yes, President Cyril Ramaphosa has admitted that the ANC allowed itself to be corrupted and failed to act sooner to clear signs of state capture. He made the admission during his two-day testimony at the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. However, political observers have pointed out that while President Cyril Ramaphosa has admitted to making mistakes, in fact the party making mistakes, he fell short of indicating just how the party intends to clean up its corruption-ridden house. To talk to us about this and more, we're now joined by the Head of Presidency in the party, Sibongile Besani. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this evening. Let's just begin with answering that very question. While we listened to the President, he was admitting to quite a lot of things that went wrong within the party and things that were supposed to be attended to in record time or even sooner, before they became what has become a pandemic for the party. And that is, of course, another issue of corruption. But we still don't understand, even after he wrapped up his testimony, just how the ANC plans to rid itself of corruption.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. I think the President has not only stopped at the point of acknowledging shortcomings that the party has. He has gone further to demonstrate to the Commission that the ANC has taken various decisions over time, and most particularly the 54th National Conference, where the ANC was very clear on how it should deal with issues of corruption, issues of criminality, especially in areas where these affect its own members. And I think you will accept that today we are talking about a decision of the ANC that is dubbed the step aside. That is part of the process that the ANC has undertaken in its process of renewal. So I think it is quite correct to say he has not stopped only at the point of conceding, but he has gone further to demonstrate through elaborate resolutions of the 54th National Conference how the ANC is dealing with malfeasance.
And while we talk about that and being good in paper, today the 30-day period has expired, yet we are hearing about how this matter is still going to go to the NWC on Monday, and then at some point is going to find itself before the NEC. Why not just go for the jugular? Let the members that are in this particular list step aside, or is there nobody in this particular list?
There is nothing wrong in allowing processes of an organization to unfold. Every political party has got its own processes. It gives you directives as to how you should conduct yourselves. It gives you the deadlines in the context of its guidelines that have been adopted. And decisions of any organization, especially the ANC, are decisions that are taken after reports have been presented. Remember, in this instance, provinces have been asked to actually report to the SGO. And the reports will therefore be presented to the highest decision-making structure. There's nothing wrong with it. I think we should also accept that we are an organization of processes in the context of a democracy that sort of supports, that is anchored on rules and regulations. And it must be seen in that context. Today's a deadline. There's going to be an NWC meeting. There's going to be an NEC meeting, the highest decision-making bodies. And I think it's a question of process. No organization should act outside its own processes. But
would you agree then with those that are saying that you're stalling on implementing some of your processes? Step aside is not something that is new. It comes from Mangaung. This is 9 years later. Now, when you then look at that particular process and how we get to this particular point where now the ANC is saying it is moving in this particular direction and going towards the NWC, getting the list and all of that, but certainly implementation remains a challenge.
Look, at this point, I don't think the ANC should be accused of stalling. Of course, the ANC, through the President, has considered that there has been some delays in implementing, in acting on a number of resolutions. But currently, on the issue of step aside, it can be tantamount. It can amount to stalling. The 30 days has just, I think it's ending today, and then there's a meeting on next week and so on. It can be equivalent to stalling, quite frankly speaking.
But it's been 9 years.
No, you don't have to look at it that way. We have a step-aside resolution. And that step-aside resolution, which is elaborate in terms of our resolutions, and now it is getting implemented. And I think we also have to acknowledge what the President has said in explaining the context around which some of the delays were experienced, that in as much as the ANC has got rules, has got laws, but also the power of balance is at play because we're a political party. So, and that balance of power is also predicated on the fact that any other matter has got to be discussed. For instance, the President was also elaborate in explaining that, for instance, the notion of state capture is not something that was imposed on the ANC. It's something that evolved. There was a stage where the ANC itself took time to actually sort of acknowledge that there was state capture. And because there is contestation, there are people that did not agree that there was state capture. There was state capture at a political level is conceptually formulated, whether it's which arm of the state has been captured and so on. So it took time, really. And because of the notion of contestation within the ANC, some of the decision took time. But what is critical is that we have arrived at the point where the ANC is acting. And that is why we don't agree that we are stalling at the moment.
But Dr. Besani, let's then look at this. You and I, as we speak tonight, the Fezile-Dabi region in Paris and 2 other regions have said that they're going to be appealing this step-aside, process by the ANC. Certainly this has implications for the party, and it may mean that we are not then going to see those who have been charged stepping aside by virtue of this particular process that could find itself in court.
By the way, I come from Fezile-Dabi region. That's my region. Look.
So then you can tell me more about this decision that your region then has taken.
I'm not an RC member. I'm an NEC member. But what is important is that the President has outlined that in the context of the balance of power in any organization, in the context of contestations that are there, the issue of state capture, was featuring prominently even towards the national and had all elements of dividing the organization and so on. So when you see a region coming out, that tells you that the stiff curve that the ANC is on. But I think the lower structures must also understand organizational discipline, what we call democratic centralism, that this decision that is being implemented currently, it's a decision that comes from conference. And the NEC in between conference takes decisions. So, and then it processes those decisions from conferences. So it's unfortunate that the Fezile-Dabi may have taken that view. But what is critical is that you will see, broadly speaking, structures of the organization are actually abiding by the call of the NEC.
So it sounds to me, though, that, while the President is trying to move the party into one direction, it appears that on the ground, things are moving to a completely different direction. And this then suggests that he may not have as much power as he thinks he does, because when a leader has spoken, certainly people have to toe the line. But with all this, apparent mudslinging, it doesn't look like he's got much power.
You have referred to one incident of Fezile-Dabi. You have also forgotten to talk about Mangaung Regional Task Team, the REC there on Monday, even on Tuesday, which publicly pronounced its support for NEC decisions. So it is one instance, and there are other structures that have pronounced so accordingly. So we may have one instance there and there, and I think you should also appreciate that, broadly speaking, like the President indicated, that in the ANC there is broad acceptance of the NEC resolution and implementation.
But one of your critical officers does not appear to be recognizing this, and that is the office of the SG, because from what he has been saying in public, it doesn't look like he plans to toe that line.
Look, the ANC, it works within a collective. It is expected that each and every member, irrespective of your position, you abide by the decisions taken by that collective. And we know that it has not been easy for some people, like you say, in Fezile Dabi, to really accept this note. But it is important that the structures abide by those precepts of our constitution, of our principles. And I don't think when one person amongst the broader membership of the ANC raises a dissenting view, that should reflect on saying that the president is weak. No, the ANC president is not weak. He's a decisive leader, he's a strong leader who works within the collective. And at the Zondo Commission, he expressed and reiterated the collective decisions of the African National Congress. And I think that's where we should take, it shouldn't be reflecting on him. You know, actually, he should be applauded for working within the collective of the African National Congress.
So when you then look at really what is currently happening, would you say then that the ANC is an organization that is self-correcting despite what we are seeing play out in the public domain?
When the ANC undertook to go to the Zondo Commission, as President said, it actually understood that it will undergo serious scrutiny. And the ANC for years has always been able to scrutinize its weaknesses and strengths and take corrective measures. Sometimes these things, they take time, as it has been the case in this instance. And we are indeed self-correcting. And it's not an easy, like President has indicated, that it's not an easy, it's a painful process. Renewal, what we call organizational renewal, unity and organizational renewal. It's a painful process, and it has its own intricacies, and that is where we are. But we are undergoing serious practical implementation of self-correcting.
I know I'm going to put you on the spot with this question, but the deadline expires today. The matter will go to the NWC, then eventually to the highest decision-making body within the ANC. If you were to look at what is about to unfold now, how soon can we then know who is going to be stepping aside, you know, from their position within the ANC after the NWC and the NEC have gone through this particular list?
The last NEC gave people 30 days. Obviously, a report will be submitted by the SGO to all these structures. And as tradition, once these structures have sat down after the meeting, they do inform the public. So I want to believe immediately after the structures have actually concluded on these matters, the public will be afforded, will be favored with that information.
And unfortunately, I know that I'm almost out of time, but I can't let you go without asking you this. We saw developments in the Northwest, and certainly as you would have heard in our headlines, you know, the IPC, they're moving then to say that Mahumapelo is facing a 5-year ban, and then he comes out to say that he's going to appeal this decision, and then a letter is then sent to him by the SG to say that his membership remains intact. The IPC then today, Khomani Chauke, really seeing red, saying that, you know, he feels that they should have even been copied in that particular communication, but they still say that he appealed to the wrong body, and the SG should have at least even copied them on the communication to Mahumapelo. This paints a picture of a Secretary General who is either flouting processes, or is not interested in processes, or is a lone ranger who's taking his own decisions, and thus even upsetting provinces. What do you make of these developments that are playing out in the public and even confusing some of your own members in that particular province?
No, I don't think members are confused. Members of the ANC, they understand the constitution of the ANC, even leaders of the ANC. Where a decision is outside the constitution of the ANC, it will definitely be corrected. So if there is contestation, the constitution of the ANC is very clear on what one should do when he has been sort of found guilty. And if I'm found guilty, I know what to do, and we know where to appeal. There's NDC, there's appeals committee, and so on. So nobody can act outside the constitution. Anyone who challenges a decision of a leader of a structure on constitutional basis and he is found to be correct, the constitution will be adhered to.
So the Secretary General was out of line, basically.
No, I'll subject actions of anybody to the constitution of the ANC. I want to believe that if a person has appealed to the wrong body, that will be corrected. It will be corrected because it is the constitution, the dictates of the constitution that will actually put every one of us in line.
All right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That's head of the presidency in the ANC, Sibongile Besani. When we